Hey fellas, I've been pretty riled up lately, punching holes in my bedroom wall, kicking babies, and pouring the milk in before the cereal. Why? Well, because of all the Hogwarts Legacy controversy still happening even weeks after its release. I made a video covering the Wired review of the game, but it has recently come to my attention that another major publishing organization has shared their review of Hogwarts. That organization being Polygon, which I'm sure you've heard of if you're active in the mainstream gaming community. And golly gosh darn it, am I excited to read this review with you guys. I live for these terrible reviews. I breathe in the dirty, stinky fumes that they release.
Breathe air!
So without further ado, let's dive into all this juicy doo-doo we're about to unpack here. Before we begin reading this piece of virtual cringe, I feel like it's only right to check out the history of the reviewer, the journalist who wrote this. I want to know what else they've published, what types of beliefs they have. I need to know who we're dealing with here. So the review is written by Geeta Jackson, and going onto their profile, I was a bit bamboozled because there's no profile picture or bio. At first I thought this was just some random bot that somehow managed to get their review on the front page of the Polygon website, but this seems to be a real, actual, living, breathing human being.
Breathe air!
So after further research in Geeta, I've discovered that they have actually worked with some big brands, one of them being Kotaku, so we're definitely about to get some reliable, trustworthy takes, backed up with solid evidence and reasoning. The title of the review is Hogwarts Legacy wants to make everyone happy, but Harry Potter gets in the way. I think we need to clear something up right now. As a reviewer, it is your job to only review the product. Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling are irrelevant to Hogwarts Legacy. Sure, you can mention them, but seeing as this is the headline, I'm sure we're about to get more than just a quick mention about those things. But we all know that this review is purely published to get clicks, right? I don't think anyone can deny that this is nothing more than a publicity stunt of sorts, but it really does harm the reputation of Polygon's brand because the majority of people don't agree with any of these far-reaching takes. Here's some good advice for reviewers. Imagine that you are just a normal customer who's bought a game and is now given their direct thoughts on it. You shouldn't be giving your thoughts on the development of the game, on who funded it, on how the idea came about. You are just reviewing the final product. Obviously, you can review the game in whatever fashion you'd like, but I think that should mainly apply to independent creators. If you're a prominent video game journalism site that pops up at the top of Google searches, I don't think it's okay to manipulate others into believing your beliefs. There's parents who are probably going onto your site trying to find out whether the new Hogwarts Legacy game is suitable for their 12-year-old son Jimmy, and then they just get told that they're a terrible person and are going to hell if they even think about buying the game. I mean, there's several sites that name Polygon as one of the best places to get your gaming news, and I think it's quite immoral to take advantage of your popularity and reputation to push a personal belief out to the masses. Now, before we move on to the actual article, I want to preface this by admitting that I have skimmed through it and discovered that at least 75% of it isn't even a review. It's just a bunch of irrelevant shit about the Harry Potter franchise and Rowling, so I don't want to spend a ton of time going into detail about it, but I just want to show you guys a few examples of how off topic this review is. So I've read past the introduction, which was mostly discussing the developers, Avalanche, as well as including a few jabs at how bad the Fantastic Beasts movies have been, which I'd have to agree with, but I don't see the relevance to the game. But then we get to a little juicy section here. It's likely that if you're reading this, you have already made up your mind about Hogwarts Legacy. Because of Rowling's persistent transphobic activism, the game has become a central pillar in a culture war to determine transgender people's right to exist. Like many trans exclusionary feminists, Rowling positions her viewpoint as one that protects women from predatory men, but it's a line of thinking that puts her more in league with right-wing agitators than other feminists. Some of the anti-trans activists activists that Rowling has shown support to online hold other deeply regressive views, like Caroline Farrow, who is also anti-abortion and against gay rights. In fact, while Rowling was trying to fundraise for victims of the war in Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin cited her as a victim of cancel culture. What? Now, fellas, I don't want to get political. I'm absolutely not the right person to talk to about that kind of thing. I just play games. The reason I wanted to read this out is because I have zero clue to how this is in any way, shape or form relevant to the gameplay, story, art style, graphical fidelity, soundtrack, characters, collectibles, or all the stuff that was actually in the game. You had a whole 90 gigabyte game to talk about and you still managed to get hugely off topic and write a paragraph about what? What does this have to do with anything? I think this review just proves how good artificial intelligence is getting, because ChatGPT can write a way better review of Hogwarts Legacy, and it's not even connected to the internet, so it doesn't know what Hogwarts Legacy is. God, I feel like I need to visit one of those anger rooms. Either that, or I just escape society and go live in the mountains of Tibet. No, if I'm being honest, these reviews are just hilarious to me. I love how they reach so far to try and give Hogwarts a bad score and just end up getting laughed at. You're making yourself the butt of the joke here. We've also got this goofy subheading reading, "It's clear that Hogwarts Legacy is, in part, an attempt to position Harry Potter as a franchise that does not need direct involvement from Rowling." I don't understand how this is clear at all. The Harry Potter books and films came out literal decades ago, and Hogwarts Legacy can't change that. Harry Potter will always be Harry Potter, but this IP has become so much more than that. Fantastic Beasts, as bad as it is a brand new storyline that's separate from Harry Potter. It focuses on Newt Scamander, and sure, it has Dumbledore in it, but it is a fresh new narrative. Hogwarts Legacy is similar in that sense because it's doing something new. Fans don't want to keep getting Harry Potter media, that shit is long gone. I still love it, and it will always have a special place in my heart, but you have to recognize that Harry Potter is just one aspect of the Wizarding World IP, which is constantly growing. The game itself is more than a game at this point. It is a signal of one's politics. You're either with Rowling or against her.
What the hell is even that?
I hate to repeat my argument, especially since it is common sense, but you're fighting an imaginary battle in your own goddamn pea-sized brain. Hogwarts Legacy is massively popular and has sold a lot of copies, and take a rough estimate at how many people actually care about this internet debate. I directly involve myself because I think it's really goofy and brain dead, but think about 87-year-old Linda who wants to buy the Harry Potter game for her grandson. She probably doesn't know that she's been regarded as a transphobe now. I can assure you that it's a small percentage of people who actually care or know about this drama, because they all understand that this is a goddamn video game, not a declaration of war. Now, your boycott was clearly very successful and all, but I think it's time to stop. You've damaged the sales of Hogwarts terribly, and you've ruined the reputation of Avalanche for all eternity, but you're taking it too far now, goddammit. Okay, I'm done with all this irrelevant bullshit, so I'm just gonna skip right to the actual game review if I can find it. I'm gonna need to purchase a goddamn UAV to actually locate this shit, because I'm halfway through the article and there's no sign of it yet. Hey, you're still here. Consider subscribing. You've come this far, why not? Anyway, I'll let you get back to the video. Many characters remark on how unusual it is that you're a new student starting as a 5th year, which is not something that the Potter books ever indicated could happen. If you play the actual game, you might discover why that is. It isn't mentioned in the Potter books, firstly because Rowling didn't think that far ahead to where she predicted that Hogwarts Legacy would ever be a thing. I think Avalanche make it work though. They implement that detail into the storyline, which is a nice touch instead of just leaving it as a plot hole. None of the other characters talk about how strange it is that Hogwarts has a transfer student from a Ugandan school, but in the books, when the witches and wizards from other schools showed up, their presence was treated as a rare oddity. I presume that's because it was entire foreign years from the other schools that were turning up in the books, not just a single individual. The student also doesn't seem to rub it in other people's faces that she attended a different school. She acts just like any Hogwarts student would, learning magic with a wand instead of the way she was originally taught. Okay, so we've got a little bit of of development on one of the previous parts I quoted. I think I misunderstood the quote when it was by itself, so let's read the expanded version. The reviewer basically says that Warner Bros. Are clearly just trying to make more money off of the Wizarding World IP, which is what a business aims to do, but then Geeta says that Rowling's world building can't be sustained outside of the Harry Potter books and films, which I heavily disagree with. Hogwarts Legacy has already proven that there can be more to the world than just Harry Potter and Voldemort, and whilst I think the main storyline could be improved, I think they did a great job overall. I hate to say it, but even Fantastic Beasts was decent enough in the first film. There's a lot of potential in this universe. Rowling has set the foundations for it. Now Warner Bros. Just need to be clever with the products that they release, as well as the writers that they hire, and it's all smooth sailing from there. Next, the review goes on to talk about how boring the combat is. This puzzles me a little because I enjoy the combat a lot, but I guess a lot of it is up to personal taste, which I respect. What I don't respect is misinformation. While you can and will learn other spells as you progress through the school year, none of them are all that necessary for combat. You can make it through most of the game by using your basic cast, parrying enemy attacks, and following up with the resulting stun spell. Now I don't know if Geeta is on God mode or maybe is training for Hogwarts Legacy esports, because when I go against enemies my level, I have to make use of all my spells to defeat them quickly. If I was to use my basic cast the entire game, that would bump my playtime up to hundreds or even thousands of hours, which isn't ideal for a 25-hour game. I think Geeta doesn't enjoy the combat because they've just been spamming their basic attack, which you can definitely complete the game with, but it will take you forever. I don't fully disagree with this review though, so I'd like to point out some good criticisms that Geeta makes. Lessons being made into side quests isn't what I expected for this game. I'd hope for dynamic lessons like Bully. I wouldn't even mind if they were generic or repetitive or whatever, as long as we got actual potion making classes or maybe more mini games and charms. It really was a missed opportunity. I also think they make a great point here. If you're still seeking a video game to provide the fantasy of being a Hogwarts student, this one will not fulfill that desire. That is exactly what I think. It's not a Hogwarts simulator, it is exactly what it says it is, which is an open world RPG. Anyway, that's pretty much all I felt was worth reading. I don't hate this review as much as the last. It gives some better criticisms than the other one, but the issue I have with it is how the actual review didn't begin until the very last few paragraphs. And again, I don't think a review should do anything more than review the actual game, especially coming from a big journalism site like Polygon. I also don't like how these boycotters are so set on hating the game that they won't give a single bit of praise about it. Like, the entire world is loving this game and there's nothing that impressed you, nothing that you think they did okay. Anyway, thank you for sticking with me for this entire video. I know it's been difficult on both of us, but we've crossed the finish line. We're done. You can forget about it now. That's pretty much it. See ya.